The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys! This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
Hey, it's 11:30 on Thursday, and it's time for another edition of Mick Shots inside the SWBC podcast studio here at the beautiful Star in Frisco.
Star in Frisco.
Any news yet today?
Yeah, sorta.
Sorta?
Sorta.
The news happens after Mick Shots.
No,
it happens right after Mick Shots.
We are like a prerequisite.
We instigated.
There you go. There you go.
My God, when we finish and it's like, okay, here we go.
We can say it now. We can say it.
Because there were a couple of things we brought up last week, and it happened. The news happened right after we brought it up on this show. I think people are listening. And that's a good idea.
Down the hallway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's what you mean by people down the hallway.
People are listening, and they hear the wisdom that comes out of this show, and they say, you know what? That's a move we need to make.
Let's go do that.
So they go
that
make
sounds
that
good. What Spag said.
Right. So what happened
last week? Last week, well, it was right after the show the Lyle Collins news came out.
That they decided to cut him.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And it didn't take long for Cincinnati to swipe him up.
That's right. And then the next day...
Well, he's got to be better than the offensive linemen that were giving up all those hits on Burrow, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you might as well come in and
they
say
basically,
the bar is not too high.
They basically paid him on a 2-year deal what he would have made with the Cowboys for this year and next year.
Okay,
and Frank Pollock. Remember we talked about
before
that?
we'll dive deper into that. Okay.
And
then the other thing was I asked you, there was no news about Leighton Vander Esch and all,
right?
And I asked you, well, what's going on with Leighton Vander Esch? We talked about Leighton Vander Esch, and sure enough, within 24 hours, Leighton Vander Esch was re-signed.
There you go.
Signed a 1-year, $2 million deal.
Yep.
And
I was surprised about that one. What about you? Were you surprised?
Yeah, somewhat. But I bet what took place with him is he wasn't getting like a long-term deal that he thought he should get. So it's like, okay, 1-year deal. Let me go back and kind of have a prove-it year and see what I can turn that into. Mm-hmm. Because now he's going to get a chance to play, right? Sitting him behind Jalen Smith. Give me a break, right? And they did all these other things, and then finally it's like, oh, we got to play this guy. And to me, after that, he started gaining confidence, and towards the end of the season, started playing better.
And proved that he can do another season without getting hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, now that did help.
Yeah.
I mean, but also the restriction of his plays, the number of plays, I think helped also with him not re-injuring himself.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if he can play passing downs. I don't know if he'd be on nickel. Oh, sorry about that, guys.
And this just into the Big Shot
and
studio.
the next one, there are reports out there that the Cowboys are going to bring in Brian Schottenheimer as a offensive or a consultant.
Blast from the past.
Yeah.
And
to
that
take Ben McAdoo's
spot. Schottenheimer name brings back some memories.
And, of course, the Mike McCarthy, Schottenheimer relationship goes back nearly 30 years.
Yep.
To San Francisco.
Kansas City.
That's right.
McCarthy was on Marty Schottenheimer's staff in Kansas City in the early 90s.
I was trying to track it down, and I forgot. I was thinking head coach. I forgot about his when he was.
McCarthy was at Pitt, and I have to look it up.
Pitt and then Kansas City.
He was at Pitt. I know McCarthy was at Pitt, then he was at Kansas City, early 90s. I'm trying to remember if there is a Schottenheimer connection at the University of Pittsburgh, too. But at Kansas City with the Chiefs, he was under Schottenheimer for several years.
And that's not a new position. They're refilling a position.
Yeah, Ben McAdoo.
McAdoo did it last year.
Because McAdoo was in the same spot, and he got hired as the offensive coordinator in Carolina.
It's kind of the NFL is doing what colleges, what Saban's been doing at Alabama for several years now, which is whether it's an offensive coordinator or a head coach who's out of work right now, you bring them on, and at the college level they bring them on as they call them an analyst for a season, and then they get a job somewhere else the next year.
And I saw that in basketball. and I didn't know it. Larry Brown.
Larry Brown's at Memphis, yeah,
Memphis,
with
right?
Penny Hardaway.
Penny Hardaway.
Yeah.
Right.
I saw him sitting on the bench.
Getting ready for his
what's
next.
What's he doing there?
Getting ready for his next job at age 90.
Hey, and I think he did a pretty good job, too.
He did a pretty good job at Memphis.
I mean, at one point I saw him get up off the bench and he was running onto the court. Right?
You know the job Larry Brown does at wherever he's been. All of a sudden, the talent level seems to rise.
You mean he's a good recruiter? Is that what you're saying?
In fact, you go back.
How can he recruit? He's 90 years old. How can he recruit? Who remembers him? I mean, he must go in there and just really be a sweet person.
Yeah. Or he brings in a satchel.
Bill didn't want to say it. Bill was just like one statement away.
Well, since we're into comedy, I'll throw it out there. So the Cowboys, since we last talked, have been busy bees.
The NFL.
Getting things done, right?
Busy bees, yes.
Are you excited about these moves?
Well, let's put it this way. I remember on Friday, so I'm writing, it's a little bit after noon, 1 o'clock, and I'm sitting there going, well, we got to look at all the holes they have on this roster. Like if they had to play tomorrow, who's playing here, who's playing there, who's playing there.
In one moment, please, if you'd like a guideline on that, go to my Twitter account. I'm tracking the openings at the end.
And
CBS 11 Bill Jones. Go ahead, Mickey.
And now yesterday, when I had to write again, it was like 6 days later. And they about filled in at least somebody that could go out on the field and play. So if you would like to go through.
I'd love to. I've called it up on my Twitter at CBS 11 Bill Jones, and we can go through it. The 2022 Dallas Cowboys shopping list.
All right. So
okay. You want me to start or you want to go?
Go ahead.
All right. Let's start on offense. You want to go start on offense?
We can start on offense.
At the wide receiver position, they traded Amari Cooper. Have they replaced him yet?
They have not replaced him, but they've got a veteran body.
Okay, well, hold on a second. We got all right. I'm going to let me go through the four.
Go by position.
I'm going to go by position, and we're not going to do it individually. But the four guys that they had to make decisions on at the wide receiver position.
All right,
you got Amari Cooper. They traded away. Michael Gallup. They re-signed for 5 years at $57.5 million plus.
Correct.
Cedric Wilson went to Miami for 3 years, $22 million, and then Malik Turner, who's still out there in free agency. And Noah Brown. They brought back. So there's your 5 wide receivers.
On a 1-year deal.
On a 1-year deal. So they, in my opinion, they replaced Cedric Wilson with James Washington.
Yes.
And you still have the Amari Cooper position.
Well,
I would give James Washington a little bit more credit than that.
CeeDee Lamb is going to have to replace Amari Cooper.
But still, there's room at the end there.
There's one spot that you can't count on Michael Gallup being ready to start the season.
That's right.
Right? So to me, you've got CeeDee Lamb, James Washington, and the draft is coming up.
And even
you still have Brown.
So,
he's going to have to play.
But not as my third guy.
But he's still going to have to play.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, he's going to have to play significant plays, considering the fact that they don't have anybody else. Am I right? Am I missing this?
Well, that's why I mentioned the draft.
Simi Fihoko.
Which I have another.
They have a 5th round pick.
And there's another one.
Question for
us.
They
haven't. He hasn't gotten in.
You could go out and play a game tomorrow, right? But it's
you can play
the third one.
Okay,
the third wide receiver. If Gallup is not ready,
which he won't be,
and we don't think he will be. So that's kind of up in the air. You could put somebody out there, Fihoko, Brown, whatever.
But what I'm talking about is more so than even just this season. You've got the Amari Cooper position, and CeeDee Lamb, the expectation is he's a first-round pick. He moves up into the number 1 hole, okay? That Amari Cooper spot is something that has to be filled, and it's going to be filled in the draft, isn't
right,
it?
Exactly. Next position.
Okay. Tight end, Dalton Schultz, franchise tag. Blake Jarwin, out there in free agency, gone.
Jeremy thing.
That's but still, I mean, when you look at the roster and what was allotted for each position group last year, there's room at the end at tight end. Jeremy Sprinkle comes back on a 1-year deal.
Veteran benefit.
Right, and so you have that tight.
And you got McEwen.
But he's. I'm not going through
what I know. What you're saying.
We're going through is who's leaving.
And I'm saying you could play tomorrow with those.
But you still have the Jarwin position that was
right.
That needs to be filled.
And
whether it's your third tight end, your second tight end, or whatever.
And again, we're looking at the draft.
That's right. There you go. There's the draft. And especially when you consider the fact right now, anyway, Schultz is only on a 1-year franchise tag.
Yeah, they got to fix that.
Yeah, they likely will.
Yes, they will.
All right. Running back Corey Clement is out there in free agency.
That's fine.
Okay.
I got 2 guys to play tomorrow.
But when you look at the draft, Pollard's going into his contract year, and Zeke's where he is in his. So there is a need where you could draft a running back. All right, offensive line. You've got Lyle Collins, who is gone.
Terrence Steele steps in,
but that roster spot is available there. Okay, at tackle. There's a need at tackle.
You need a third tackle.
Ty Inseki is out there in free agency.
Yeah, leave him out there.
But still. There's a roster spot right there that hadn't been filled.
Josh Ball.
Okay. Then you got the Josh Ball. You got the Josh Ball roster spot then, if you want to trickle it down. Okay. And then Connor Williams signed with Miami, and you haven't filled that spot yet.
But if you had to play tomorrow, Connor McGovern
yes, you can,
would
but
walk in
you
there.
still have 3 needs on the offensive line. There's 3 spots.
Right.
Salary spots, however you want to term it, that are available there. Okay, whether it's in free agency, a veteran minimum guy, or in the draft.
What about that center? What are we doing at center?
And in center, I mean, that's not taking into account whether you upgrade at a position. That's a great point.
You can play with Tyler Biadasz.
We're trying to improve the team here.
You can play with Tyler Biadasz.
Bill's trying to lead you down the path.
I know what he's saying.
You're not biting at all.
No.
All right, so there's your openings on offense. So as far as the shopping list, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's still 7 spots available on offense.
But you could still play tomorrow.
You
That's
can still
my
play.
point.
You can play.
Which is an improvement from last Wednesday.
Yes.
As you go forward.
That's right. Because they have signed, in the meantime, since last Wednesday, they have signed James Washington and Jeremy Sprinkle. And so they had 9 openings a week ago. Now they're down to 7 on offense. All right, let's move to defense. And on the defensive line, one of the decisions you made was on DeMarcus Lawrence, and you redid his contract. 3-year deal. Randy Gregory, of course, left in free agency to Denver.
Didn't DeMarcus say he wasn't doing anything with his contract?
Well,
he didn't want his contract to be touched?
Well, people were acting like he was going to take a pay cut.
Okay. Well, it seemed like he was acting like he had to take a pay cut.
No, they didn't want to. They didn't want to pay him signing bonus to reduce his base salary. What they did was they gave him a new 3-year deal with all of it guaranteed.
Okay.
He didn't have any more guarantees in his contract, so he could play for $19 million. And they could cut him at any point, or you can get a new 3-year deal with signing bonus, and it's all guaranteed. So you may have taken less money, but in the big picture, but you also got all your money guaranteed. So to me, at his age, guarantee is more important than what the total is for each base salary.
Well, at one point, I heard him complaining about maybe future consideration as far as dealing with his salary, tinkering with his salary.
No, people were suggesting he should take a pay cut.
Okay.
And as a player, if I got a contract, I'm not taking a pay cut.
No, he was not feeling that at all.
I mean, you got the nerve to cut me?
Right.
I'll take my chances.
There you go.
All right.
Continue, William.
Continue.
This is like going to the grocery store with my wife. I mean, we got a shopping list.
Your wife keeps texting you.
No. It's like going to the grocery store with my wife, okay? And we've got this shopping list we're trying to fill, and then she sees a friend, and we're going to talk to this friend for 15 minutes,
Hey, man,
instead of
I be that
finishing.
friend?
Ever since my friend.
Right, but we're trying to do business here. We're trying to fill our shopping list. Yeah.
What's next?
This is why I don't go to the grocery store.
What's
I'm
next?
a hunter, not a gatherer. I'm a hunter.
What's next?
All right.
I hear you, Chris.
Next on our shopping list here, we go down the produce line. Now, I think the offense was the produce line.
Yes, okay.
All right.
The offense was the meat line. That's what the offense was.
All right. The defensive line. All right. I'm not even going to say his name. Okay, we took
we're
care of
done
that
with
one.
that.
We got
All
it.
right.
We're done with him.
We saw him. We said hi to him for 15 minutes. Randy Gregory's gone to Denver. Torrance
Don't have to say anything to
Armstrong is
him.
coming back. 2 years, $12 million plus incentives. $1 million incentive, sack incentive. Carlos Watkins is coming back on a 1-year deal. And still out there is Brent Urban. So there were 5 openings. We filled Lawrence. Armstrong's filled. Watkins is filled. Urban's still out there. And did Dante Fowler replace Randy Gregory?
In a rotation with Armstrong.
Yep. There you go.
And I'll say it again, and the draft is a month away.
Because it's just a 1-year deal for Fowler. I haven't seen
Correct.
the particulars. I don't see.
I have not seen his show up yet.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
if it's a 1-year
we're
deal,
walking by the produce section.
yeah, okay.
Now we can discuss.
I see you, and I'm wondering about not just Gregory, but I was wondering. Dang, you made me forget, Bill. It wasn't just Gregory we were dealing with on the defensive line. I guess we're good.
tackle.
I'm just waving, going by.
with
I just want to say hi. I didn't want to speak.
with Watkins coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you got Gallimore.
You got 2 guys going to replace Gregory?
At this
You
point.
named 2 people for one man?
At this point.
At this point.
Well, Armstrong was here, and Armstrong had 5 sacks last year. Gregory had 6.
Man, he had 5 sacks?
Yes.
That's nice.
As a rotation
Yes,
player.
yes.
Yeah,
That's really
it's
good.
a rotation
Nice.
there, and
And you still got Chauncey Golston.
Yeah.
We'll see what he can do.
Peppers, that's what I was going to ask you about. Jabril, is he doing anything?
Peppers.
I'm sorry, Cox.
Jabril Cox.
Jabril Cox,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, we haven't
Jabril
got
Cox.
to linebacker yet.
All right, so we're going to linebacker now.
Oh, well,
okay, so there's still
jumped aisles.
Okay, there's still.
I'm in the chip section.
As far as vacancies on this shopping on the 2021 roster,
Mm-hmm.
there's still 1 available there. But you can still, I mean, if you,
As I said, you could play tomorrow.
you can play tomorrow, and if you like an edge rusher in that draft, by all means, go get that edge rusher.
Right.
Okay.
And so we're not talking free agency trying to get an edge rusher. Are we done with that?
I think probably what they've done so far,
Is about
unless
what
something lands in their lap for
Right.
cheap,
Right.
yeah, they're probably done.
You always got the wild card of a guy with 13 sacks last year who plays linebacker for you. Okay. Which brings us to the linebacker position. Leighton Vander Esch.
Hold on then. If we're talking that, then let's go back to the D-line position. Are we going to put him at the edge? Are we going to put Micah?
He's a linebacker.
Yeah, he is a linebacker, but he's also a football player. I thought that's what he said last year.
But if you were looking for a guy to be a starter,
Yeah.
he's not starting at defensive end. He's
Okay.
too valuable where they put him.
All right, well, let's go to linebacker and see how flexible we can be then.
And let's
There you go.
remember,
Okay.
a lot of his sacks didn't come from just lining up as a defensive end. Some of them came from lining up as a linebacker.
Yeah, but he made
in
a
the
big
middle.
difference sometimes just lining up at defensive
But-
end and just creating all kinds of havoc.
Because teams didn't know where he was going to be.
That's right.
Right?
So let's go to
if you
linebacker
tell
and
me-
see how we can hide.
If you tell me he's a 60-snap defensive end a game, then they're going to take him out. They'll just take him out. So linebacker, they don't know where he's going to be.
But let's go to linebacker and see how we can
Okay.
tinker around
Linebacker
with this
Leighton
thing.
Vander Esch is back on a 1-year deal. Luke Gifford is back. He was on a one-year deal. Keanu Neal, who now says he is a safety, but he was a linebacker here, is still out there in free agency.
Oh, he says he's a safety.
Yes. He's marketing.
For anyone out there that's interested, right?
Marketing himself in
As
free
a safety.
agency as a safety.
And I think that's a good move.
And so, but there is that spot that was filled last year by Keanu Neal at the linebacker as a linebacker in this defense, and so it is available.
Yeah.
And Jabril Cox.
Jabril Cox is Keanu Neal. They're hoping.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Injury, right?
Right.
Okay.
Torn
How's he
ACL.
doing?
Well, he did it in, I want to say November. So it was halfway through the season.
But there is certainly a need for a linebacker in the draft.
Yes.
So at this point, when you're trying to say hi to Micah, and you're going to sneak him on the defensive end line, anywhere, left, right, doesn't really matter.
You really don't have that flexibility at the linebacker
And
spot.
that's what I'm saying. That's my point.
At this point.
Right.
Yeah, that's why you need something there.
Right.
You need okay. Defensive backfield safety Jaron Kearse is back on a 2-year, $10 million deal.
Boy, they got him cheap.
Safety Malik Hooker is back on a 2-year, $7 million deal. Safety Dante Casey is still out there. And cornerback Maurice Kennedy is still out there. So, safety position, Dante Casey.
Yeah, he ended up.
To what you have at safety right now, you've got Kearse, you got Hooker, you got Donovan Wilson. Darian Thompson's still on this team, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And you have Mcquaid.
That's right. Israel.
So,
Rookie from 7th-round draft pick last year. But there is still an opening.
Gone, then you have a chance with Jaron, right?
And Jaron is sort of the flexible.
He's the Michael Parsons of the secondary.
Right.
Because he can play linebacker and safety.
Cover the tight end.
He can take over some of that Keanu Neal stuff at linebacker.
So once again, they could play tomorrow with what they have at safety and cornerback. Because Kennedy didn't do hardly any. He was on IR almost or practice squad the whole year.
He did a lot in training camp.
And you'll hope, yes, he did. You'll hope Calvin Joseph is ready to play football.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key right there.
Right.
What is Joseph going to do? How is he going to play?
Because if he ends up being the fourth guy, but he would be the backup at both starting spots if he's not starting, and he could do that, and they would probably need somebody else to kind of back up Jordan Lewis in the slot. But Anthony Brown could play in the slot if Calvin Joseph had to play outside.
And that's what I'm wondering. Love Lewis. I love him. Sometimes he really disappointed me, but, man, he came up last year and made some extremely important plays for us out of nowhere. So as much as I like him, I think because he's so just diminutive, I'm looking at Brown probably taking over for him in the slot. And if Joseph can come and play the way he's supposed to, we get that 2-4 back out there on that cornerback position.
So that
is a very powerful.
You got 4
secondary
corners you can play.
Yes, you still.
What
have
is for a second-round draft pick? And keep in mind the second-round cornerback from the year before had 11 picks his second year in the league. At what point do you expect a second-round cornerback to be your starting cornerback? In what year of his career?
I would give him the opportunity to challenge for that this year.
Right now, yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Right
because he always had something last year, right? And kind of pushed him back.
Which is what he had in college, too.
Right. And so you got to find out, can I trust him? Is he ready to do this? I think this training camp's going to be very important for him.
And finally, the special teams unit.
Time.
Yeah.
You can't. He used up all his misses.
Right.
Yeah. Special teams unit. Long snapper Jake Mcquaid is back on a 1-year veteran minimum deal. Punter Brian Anger has returned on a 3-year, $9 million contract, the highest paid punter in the National Football League. And kicker Greg Zuerlein is gone. There's an opening at the end at kicker.
Which there has been some whispers that they could bring Zuerlein back on a 1-year deal for far less money than they were paying him, or he was scheduled to make over $2 million this year. So
they're not going to draft a place kicker for the first time since 2009.
I'm with you, Chris.
I'm not saying that they would bring them back on.
I'm not against you. I just like that little music.
1 year. One year, come out and you've got to compete for the job this year, not hand it to them like they did last year.
Yep. I wouldn't even give him another shot. I really wouldn't. I mean, he had his shot last year. He didn't grade out very well at all, as far as I'm concerned. I'm surprised we even considered him. Why would you bring back a bad kicker just because you pay him less?
Just to have a veteran guy.
Would a team that has 4 fifth-round draft picks think about drafting a kicker with one of those fifth-round draft picks?
Why not?
We have so many. Was it the Cooper deal?
They got
two compensatory picks
and then
one trade. Yep.
Why not?
So there you go.
If there's one worth it.
Yep.
So, having spoken about that list.
Do you want to tease this forward since we're 26 minutes into this segment?
Yes, because I've got another question to ask you guys.
Spit out your thought. There was a thought you had there that's going to be our tease.
Wednesday night. It was late. NFL Network was replaying the Cowboys-New England game. And so I started watching it parts. And 3 things stuck out to me in that game.
And we're going to hear about them next here on Mick Shots.
Out, baby.
Brace yourself for an existential question. Has your butt been having enough fun lately? Have you been treating it well? Has it been going places? If not, then it's about time you start using SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the best way to get your butt tickets to live events. Just ask the thousands of other butts who have rated it the #1 ticketing app. So what are you waiting for? Download the app now or visit SeatGeek.com to get tickets to sports, concerts, and live events and make your butt happy. SeatGeek. Get your seat in a seat.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way. Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call. And teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Back to Mick Shots.
K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. From corporate homes to your home. Have your roof checked by choice, not by chance. Call now, 214-225-4860, kpostcompany.com.
I might need them.
Oh, yeah?
Did you get hail?
No, I always have roof problems. I need to just buck up and do what I got to do.
I need to read one for Windows. I need Windows.
Oh, I got Windows for you, bro.
You got Windows? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You also have a point you would like to make from the Cowboys-Patriots game that you reviewed the other night. In fact, there are 3 points you're about to make.
That kind of was their high point of the season, right?
That's what we talked about last week, that Everson asked what was the high point of the season. I threw out the touchdown pass to C.D. Lamb to win that game, and then there went Dak flipping off the field.
You know what? I watched it real closely. He didn't move around much after that throw. He was everybody was celebrating. He was kind of standing still.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was my third point on just how good C.D. Lamb can be. We talked about filling in for Amari Cooper, and they relied on Cooper in that game to move the change. And then he makes that big play.
Right.
So can he be that consistent over the entire game and not just flash? But
we're going to have to consistently go to him.
And it reminded me that they had lined up in a similar situation, and Tony Romo basically pointed out that, okay, when that guy comes out of the slot, this is going to be a touchdown. And then they called timeout, and then they ran the same formation but a different play. But off the snap, CD had his hand in the air, right?
Already. And I think it was Mills.
Yes.
He was too far
and he
back.
What was he doing?
And you're outside.
Right.
Why is he so far outside?
The second thing, Randy Gregory's sack, fumble, recovered. He came off the left side, and he smoked that right tackle, and it reminded me of just how good he is.
How fast.
Yes. and how just brilliant he can play.
It wasn't just his
spot.
sacks, it was his pressures.
Right. And that's what people keep pointing out. Well, he only had 6.5 sacks. Well, look at his pressures. I bet it was 30.
He caused other sacks.
Right.
Yeah.
And he helped other people out. So those things really stuck out to me in that game.
Gregory was credited, it's from the NFL stats, with 17.
17 what?
Quarterback
hurries.
Hurries.
Okay. The Cowboys.
They have their own.
And Gregory's line was 6 sacks, 1 tackle for a loss, 30 quarterback pressures. 30
by the Cowboys.
And
coaching
17?
staff.
Yeah.
Which usually they review the tape. Those
Right.
NFL things come from the game.
The one thing about the NFL, it's across the board in the league where you've got the same standard across the league.
Right, and generally the tackles on the NFL stats are much higher than what the coaches dole out. So, and just the other thing was Zerline, right? He tied the game to send it into overtime, but he asked a chance earlier to kick that field goal and just shanked it, just miserably. And I'm sitting there going, no wonder at times during games I was thinking, don't let this game come down to a field goal. And you shouldn't have that thought with your kicker, right? So your point about the 5th round kicker, if there's one there, and there's a couple kickers in this draft, I think, that might be worth it.
Yeah, but if they're worth it, most likely teams don't wait till the 5th round.
Well,
I think that's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
I think that's unless it's Janikowski, who was a first rounder with Dow Davis.
There's no more Janikowskis out there.
But I think that's kind of the sweet spot is about the middle of the third day.
Okay, so having said all this, the Cowboys are at 24 in the first round, and say everything's equal. Like talent. What position
offensive line
do you want with the 24th pick in the first? And knowing you can still do stuff in the second and third
offensive
round.
line.
You want a guard?
I don't know what I want, but I want a lineman that's going to give my quarterback more time to throw and give my receivers more time to get open.
Okay.
Because the problem we had last year down the stretch, a lot of injuries, offensive linemen they weren't in unison at all. And every time you looked up, your quarterback's getting sacked with 4 people rushing, with a 4-man rush. That is what I saw. Our running back can't run the ball, and we can't throw the ball because of a 4-man rush. That's what I recall.
So if I take an offensive lineman there, I don't want a true guard. I want a tackle
that can play guard.
And eventually end up at tackle. I want Flozell Adams or Solomon Page, Kevin Gogan, if we want to go way back, right?
Love Kagan.
So you're not interested in the guard that Joe Philbin was looking at this week down in College Station, Kenyon Green, not at 24?
Can I get a guard in the second round? Does it have to be a first-round guard?
Can it be a good guard in the second round?
So where?
It can't be a good guard at 24.
Where's the
How about
value?
Zach Martin at 24?
Well, yeah, as he turned out to be a Pro Bowler, right?
Yeah. If they grade
Hall of Famer,
I'll just throw Kenyon Green out there. If they grade him on the same or close to the same level as Zach Martin, who was around the 14th, 15th pick, whatever he was.
He was 16th.
16th pick. If they would grade him close to that, are you willing to take the guard Kenyon Green at 24?
I would consider it. But my point was, what if they graded another position equally to that guard? Now, which one's more beneficial to me?
All right, let's put it this way. How about this? Because C.D. Lamb was a 17th pick.
Right.
And the Cowboys have a need at wide receiver, too.
Yep.
All right.
This is the debate I'm sending to you. I can give you an argument for a tackle guard.
You can give an argument for anything.
Thank you.
Just because you like to
tackle
argue.
guard.
All right, let's just put it this way.
Wide receiver, defensive end, linebacker.
All right.
Which of those four
we'll put
positions?
it back. Let's put it back in Cowboys history. At number 24, you have we're all in agreement Zach Martin's going to go be in the Hall of Fame someday.
Right.
Okay. Michael Irvin's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
You have a choice of Michael Irvin or Zach Martin at number 24. Who are you taking?
I'm taking the wide receiver.
At
Just
24?
because I think it's a more valuable position.
At any point. We'll say 24 because that's where the Cowboys are picking.
I can't have a first-round pick at every spot on the offensive line.
You want one at the wide receiver on this team? You want a first round and wide receiver this team with Gallup coming back?
No, that was my question. If it's an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, a defensive end, we talked about all the things they still need, and a linebacker. Right? Between those four, from a financial and value and the impact it has on your team, which of those would you rather have? If all four from a grading period, they're all the same.
It was wide receiver, offensive line, and what?
Defensive end and linebacker.
Okay.
Because there's going to be some linebackers out there that are awfully good at that spot in the draft.
What's your pick, Bill?
Depends on the player. There's some intangibles that players have that I think put them over the top.
But everything's equal.
I know.
So which position would you value the most?
I'll take, okay. And I think you also take into account where can you find, how deep are certain positions, okay? And I think at the wide receiver position, you can find other wide receivers who are really can play to a Pro Bowl level,
okay,
given the opportunity in its second or even third round. It's very hard to find an offensive tackle. Now, an offensive tackle of that ilk is usually not going to be available at number 24. An edge rusher at that ilk is not going to be available at 24 usually. But I would take my priorities would be an edge rusher.
And I agree with you.
Number one on that list.
The defensive end.
Yeah.
Because you've got the other defensive end right now is one guy's on a 1-year deal, one guy's on a 2-year deal, and has never started full-time in the league. And when I saw in that game what Gregory did, I was like, oh, that's different. Now, I don't know if the defensive end, is worthy at that pick. But I'm just saying if all positions are the same. Can I find a guard in the second round?
Can you find a guard that can block in the second round? Yes, you can find what you want in the second round.
You found one 4 years ago, Connor Williams.
Yeah.
And played well except for his holding.
I'm sorry. Y'all killing me here.
That
Y'all killing me here, guys.
Hey.
That quarterback played well enough for the interception.
I can't believe he said that, man.
All I know.
You just ruined any type of credibility you had in this argument, bro. Stop, man.
Well, that's why they benched him.
Yeah, duh.
And then they put him back in there because they realized he was playing better than the other guy.
And that's why we need an offensive lineman at 24.
You can't have a first-round pick at every spot on the offense.
I get that. But you got to have this one.
Do you realize when the Cowboys were winning Super Bowls, they didn't have any
Hold on. How many, for not this year, but next year, the year after, and the year after, when you draft a first rounder, you're drafting them for 5 years.
I got you.
So in 2023, 24, 25, 26, how many first round draft picks are on that offensive line?
Well, then you can do it. But right now, you've got a Hall of Famer at guard, first round pick.
What Tyron Smith do his first year in the league?
He was pretty good, wasn't he?
I mean, what position did he play?
Right tackle.
Right tackle.
But not left.
That's right. He wasn't a left tackle. Even Tyron Smith played right tackle first before he went to left tackle.
Exactly.
So if you want someone that is going to eventually replace Tyron Smith at left tackle, he might be a guard first, and then he becomes a left tackle once Tyron retires.
Okay.
But my point is, yes, right now you have a 30-year-old first-round draft pick at right guard, and you have a 30-year-old first-round pick at left tackle. How many other first-round picks do you have on that offensive line?
Well, how many first-round picks do you have on your defensive line?
Well, I'm just saying we're talking offensive line,
but none.
That's when people try to be deceptive.
But what you were saying is you can't have too many. You can't have all first-round draft picks on the offensive line. My point is you've got two 30-year-old first-round draft picks, and beyond that, you have no other first-round draft picks on. In fact, you have an undrafted right tackle. You have a fourth-round pick at center, and you got a third-round pick, Connor McGovern, at guard. The way the team is put together right now.
And what do you have at defensive end?
I agree. I mean, they're in the same boat,
right?
Both spots. That's right.
So that's why
you have a 30-year-old defensive end in Nabarcus Lawrence.
Right.
He turns 30 next month. And you have Dorrance Armstrong, who was a fourth-round draft pick, and you have Dante Fowler is actually, I think, 28, but he's on a one-year deal.
Former first-rounder.
Right, former first-round, third pick in the draft.
And then inside, you've got third-round picks and free agents.
That's right.
So a guard, a tackle who can play guard.
My statement still stands.
All right, well, that's fine. That's why I asked.
What did you say?
I said my pick still stands. I want that guard. I want that guard, man. I got to have a lineman. I mean, that was our problem.
I think at 24, it's the best offensive lineman you can find. By the way, that offensive lineman at A&M, he's played 4 different positions in college. Now he looks like a guard.
The plot thickens.
Is center one of those?
No, center was not one of them.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Don't give me left and right. Left and right. All right, we'll see. And that's the dilemma they're going to face, right? That they're going to have to answer that question. So, and again, my point was the talent is the same. Which position do you value more? He valued the guard. I valued the defensive end. And I wouldn't be mad at him in the second round taking a wide receiver. I don't, we just assume guys recover from ACLs, right? And they're the same player. Mm-hmm. What if?
I've got no problem taking a wide receiver in the first round if he's that good.
I know.
Right. And I'm looking at some of these wide receivers in this draft, and I really like many of these wide receivers.
I mean, you guys realize when they were winning Super Bowls, the highest drafted offensive lineman was Larry Allen in the second round, and he didn't get there till 94. The rest of them were just guys that they turned into players. That's why a guy like Terrence Steele, they really has to come through for him, because you can't have top draft choices all across the line. You got to develop somebody, and obviously they must have some confidence in him because they didn't just let La'el Collins go because they were mad at him. They didn't let him go
because of salary cap relief. They're not saving anything.
No, because it's still $13 million in dead money, part this year and part next year. So that tells you what they thought of Terrence Steele. You got to have those guys.
Or it tells you what they thought of La'el Collins.
Well, and that too.
That's what I think it says right there.
And the other thing on the wide receivers is I think there's a reason that these great wide receivers are getting traded this year because these teams have seen what's in the draft, and they think that they can get some wide receivers that are.
I remember I said that like last year about all the studs coming out of college.
That's right. That's exactly
and
right.
Wide receiver that continues over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
I mean, think about what the most, other than quarterback, what's the most valued position in college right now? It's the wide receivers because they're playing so many of them, right?
And see, if it's so many of them, you can find one that's not going to come in the first round.
Well, no, I understand.
You're going to find some good ones in second and third round that you never heard of, and they're going to be the ones at the top of the charts.
Well, you just go find you another Larry Allen in a second.
All right, we continue with more Mick shots in just a moment.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar. And a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Back to Mick Shots.
Whether you're watching from home or cheering in the stands with Essilor lenses, you'll see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your Essilor experts and find the perfect Essilor lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
How do you think they feel in Kansas City today about the prospects for the Chiefs after the trade yesterday? Tyreek Hill going to the Miami Dolphins in exchange for 5 draft picks, first rounder, number 29 overall, a second rounder, a 4th rounder this year, and 2023 4th and 6th rounders. Do you think there's panic in the streets of Kansas City now that Tyreek Hill has moved on?
I think they probably figure out with all those draft choices.
They've got like 12, I think.
Rebuild this team.
And, all right, okay, let's do it this way. Compare the feeling in Dallas after Amari Cooper left, okay, as compared to about the prospects for the Cowboys this year, compared to the feeling amongst Kansas City fans for the prospects this year after Tyreek Hill leaves? Which fan base is feeling better about their prospects?
Kansas City.
And why is that?
They got all those draft choices. and they did not spend all that cap space on a wide receiver. And they feel like with their quarterback that they can go forward.
What about Miami?
And so why do the Cowboys not feel this? Cowboy fans not feel the same way?
Because there's a negativity hanging over this team, and until they win a Super Bowl, it's going to be there every year. No matter
if they just win a first round,
no matter what they do.
At this point, if we win a first round, I think we're going to be happy. I mean,
See, here's the difference. The Cowboys kind of somehow let it be known that Amari Cooper wasn't going to be here, which killed his trade value.
Well, the other thing is other teams knew that fifth day of the new league year, his contract became guaranteed.
Exactly.
And so they knew that the Cowboys, there was a deadline involved where the Cowboys had to make a decision if they were going to clear that cap space. And so his trade value, now you can say whatever you want to about the abilities of the two players, but the reason that the Cowboys get a fifth-round pick and they exchange sixth-round picks, and Kansas City gets 5 picks for Tyreek Hill, in essence, is because of that is there was that due date on his guaranteed roster spot.
And they knew that they were going to have to re-sign Tyreek Hill, right? He was in the last year of his contract, right?
Yeah. He wanted some Devontae Adams money from them. They weren't going to pay that, right?
Yeah. Same thing with the Packers, right? Same deal. So, they got what they could before it was the deadline over their head.
Well, Cooper kind of fell uphill. You go to the Browns, you're thinking, oh, the Browns. And then all of a sudden, here comes Deshaun. And now things are a little bit, more interesting now.
Here's the other thing. You can ask the question, okay, so did the Cowboys make a mistake with the Cooper contract where they had that, even though they could get out of it after 2 years, but you had that deadline date? Well, here's the difference between the two players, Tyreek Hill and Amari Cooper. Hill's contract, which was a 2019 season, they gave him a 3-year extension of $54 million, but there was only $5 million guaranteed. The difference in the two players is Hill had the off-the-field issues to where he didn't have the same kind of leverage when it came time to negotiate his contract with Kansas City long-term. So they did not have to do that with his contract to give him that roster bonus going into the last year of his deal. Because, there was no assurances that he's going to be eligible to play with his track record of off-the-field stuff. And with Cooper, Cowboys have already invested in him with a first-round draft pick, and so there was a difference in the way you approach both contracts. But Cooper had more leverage there when they signed the long-term deal.
And knowing that they tried to pull this wide receiver by committee, which was failing miserably, and they tried to resurrect the season, which they nearly did. In 2018, right? In 2019, it paid off. So, yeah. But again, I don't want to hear anything about wide receiver by committee again. That's why I threw out the first-round wide receiver.
I got no problem drafting a wide receiver in the first round.
You can have all the wide receivers you want. If you don't have time to throw it to them,
that's right.
Man, we're going to be looking at last year all over again, guys. Come on.
But this was the number one offense.
Yeah, it was. But that's all because of what happened in the first 10 games.
And the number one scoring offense.
Then you look at the last 7 games, and then we'll look at what number they were in then. And Amari Cooper's numbers, all the wide receivers' numbers went down because they were being pressed. They don't have time to get off the ball because the offensive line can't block. The quarterback's back there with a 4-man rush, getting hit all the time.
All right, I want a guard.
Yeah, but here again, it's where the Cowboys are picking at number 24.
Right.
And what?
It's not number 11.
It's hard. It's hard to find that future Hall of Fame type offensive lineman at number 24. They're usually, you got a pretty good idea of which ones have the potential to play at that ability, and they usually go in the first half of the first round.
Can I trade down to 30 and get one?
You can trade down to 30 and get Travis Frederick.
Yeah.
Which is what the Cowboys did.
And got panned.
I miss him.
By the way.
I miss him.
Oh,
so
yeah.
much.
I'm sure they missed him.
I miss him.
You can talk Joe Looney out of retirement, right? I wonder if more stuff will go on next week when they go to the owners' meetings.
More in terms of trades,
moves. Yeah. It will.
It's
Something
been
will
wild.
happen, but will it happen with us? That's the deal.
So, speaking of that, I read a story about all these proposals, how to change overtime.
Mm-hmm.
You know what my proposal is? Just play football. Don't jack up the game. Think about what hockey does in the playoffs. During the regular season, they play 82 games, right? So you don't want overtime going 2-3 periods, right? So it's 3-on-3. You jack up the game. But when they get to the playoffs, you just play hockey. Whoever wins, wins. You tied, you keep playing, right? Why can't they do that in football in the playoffs?
Why are they suggesting the change in the first place? Because they feel sorry for the Buffalo quarterback? Is that what it is? That turned out to be a great game. Okay, that's what overtime's all about. It came out to be a great game, but you're feeling sorry for one quarterback. I don't know why, but I mean, it's just the way it is. I'm not going to sit up here and want to change the rules because of this one guy comes along, has a good game, and he loses.
See, if they
That's
want to
life.
If they want to change it for the regular season, I understand the argument. But in the playoffs, play, right? Initially in soccer, before they get the penalty kicks, right? They play an overtime period, and if somebody wins in overtime, they win the game. So
your proposal is then
just play football.
No, but for how long?
I don't care how long, because somebody's got to win in the playoffs, right? You can't have a tie.
But so
just play if it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes.
But you're not the first team that scores.
No, just play football.
There's got to be a time limit.
Give me another period.
Okay.
Right?
But speaking of, I went to the Stars game the other night.
Oh, yeah?
The 5-3 one?
Yeah, I was there. The empty netter, right?
You like the empty net goal?
The empty goal netter.
That's what he remembers the most.
That's right. I never saw one before.
What happened last?
I've never seen one before. I mean, that was pretty cool. Let me shot from way down there. That's a hard shot. You can do that? You can do that from the other goal?
I can't get on skates.
And under. Right, thank you. I mean, to me, that was just
I can't get on skates
cool.
without ice, much less on ice.
My brother took me, man. My baby brother, Greg, he took me to the Stars game, and I had a great time. I mean, come on. We were like the only black people in the stands, man. That was pretty cool.
So the Stars have been here since 1993.
I went to two.
Okay, you have been before.
Yeah, but that was a reunion.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't
that long ago.
That long ago. You sound like my brother. Yeah, he goes all the time. So yeah, that long ago, he treated me to a game. Stars match. What is match game? What do you call it in hockey? Is it a match?
A game.
It's a game. It's a game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, yeah.
It's not a ball. They don't play with a ball.
You saw some quick scoring too.
Bro,
Stars were up 2-1.
That was exciting stuff, man.
And then they gave up 2 goals in a minute.
I saw another black guy too. He was playing hockey. He was on the floor.
Did you know that's been going on for some time?
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard like that we even had something to do with it. Yeah.
On the ice.
On the ice.
Yeah.
See, there you go. See, I got to get my terminology together.
Well, when the ice isn't there, it's a floor.
Yeah, it's still a floor. Yeah, it's just slippery.
So what do you hope the Cowboys do by next Thursday when we reconvene? Last week we wanted them to sign Bobby Wagner. He's still out there.
Still out there.
How much?
No, he's going to cost too much. He's getting too much play.
He's visiting the Rams.
Yeah, he's visiting like he's like going
he's spending like 3 days with the Rams.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't.
It's going to cost
too much hope.
They don't. It looks like they have a lot of money, but they don't. They don't get La'el Collins $10 million to June 1st. By the way, so that's their draft. And all these guys that we just talked about them signing, from what I can tell, unless something jumps up, the highest.
This just in.
The highest cap hit for this
means
year.
the show's over.
Means the show's over. Thank you. Just
The
remind
Everson,
you guys.
It is. It's 12:30, right?
Everson,
the show is over.
Everson is sick of this overtime. He doesn't get paid overtime. That reminds me of an old story.
He has to go feed the meter outside.
That's right.
That reminds me of an old story, and I'll go ahead and say the names. Tom Grieve told me this story about a former Ranger player named Alex Johnson back in the 70s. And his saying was when they got to the ninth inning of a tie game, he was either going to hit one in or let one in. He played left field, and it was like I don't get paid overtime, so I'm either going to hit one in or I'm going to let one in. So he set that alarm, and Everson just set that alarm. He's out of here. He doesn't get paid overtime.
No. My last thing is happy birthday to my son Cameron. Today's his birthday. It's his 34th birthday, so I got to get that out there too.
Boy, you must be old.
As you see, I sound tired as I said it.
Then I'll go ahead and say happy birthday to my youngest daughter, Jordan, who turns 3-0 tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yes.
What are they? What is this time? What sign is this? What are we in?
March?
Taurus?
March?
Bull?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
I barely know
you
mine.
Guys are worse than me. Y'all are worse than me.
Oh, now I got
My mom was all into
So
that.
by the way, since he brought up baseball,
Yes.
and Alex Johnson, home run hitter, by the way.
Actually led the league in hitting one year, but go ahead.
So you're a fan of putting a guy on second base to start extra innings in baseball and jack up the game?
No.
Continue with my point.
There you go.
Just play football.
Just as ridiculous.
There was a proposal, you guys, for the
by
team.
the way, Alex Johnson hit 78 home runs
There
in
he
his
is.
career.
Home run hitter.
That's why Mickey does, but he was a batting champ
Yeah.
in 1970. And by the way, I think he's got his brother is Ron Johnson, I think. Yep. Remember Ron Johnson played for the New York Giants?
That Ron Johnson.
Yep, Ron Johnson. Alex Johnson's
Number
brother
30.
is Ron Johnson.
Right,
Yep.
number 30. He was a good player.
Now I forgot what I was going to say.
We're talking about ghost runners in baseball.
There was a proposal that is coming up that the team wins the toss, elects to put the football on a certain yard line, and they can choose to play offense or defense. What has that got to do with the game of football? Or these 2-point conversions? It's a playoff game. Just play football.
Just
play football.
I like the 2-point conversion thing, though.
Why?
No, so if in overtime, if you score a touchdown, you kick the extra point, then you have to play again, right? They get the ball.
Yeah.
But if you go for 2, which is a harder play,
right,
and you don't get it, I think they still get the ball, or the game's over.
The game's over if you get 2. So
yeah, the game's over if you get 2. What happens if you don't get 2?
Then the other team gets the ball
and they can score.
Right. Ron Johnson.
And Ron Johnson was number 30.
That's right.
You got it right.
One of my favorite players.
Everson's got that.
He was a good
All right.
player.
I think that does it.
So we can talk about this overtime and see if they talk about it in the meetings that start Tuesday, Monday? It's next week, I believe, right?
Yep. Okay.
West Palm?
West Palm. You're not going to cover it?
If I am, they haven't told me I've got a flight to get there.
All right. That does it for this edition of Mick Shots, and we will shout at you again next Thursday at 11:30.
Go Stars and Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!